Hey guys, it's Mike from Shimino's Workshop. So here's a follow-up video I did. This is a comparison of the original Windu run from 89sabers versus, I guess technically, the third run. So this is version, the 2020 version, version 2. So I figured I'd do a comparison video, and also I'll show the chassis that I designed for the last version. So I think this is what? This is MW2 V2, Master Windu version 2, version 2? I don't know. Hurts my brain. So the biggest difference are the grips, right? Just looking at it externally. If you're just comparing one to the other, grips on the original run are enormous, ginormous. I don't know that the grips were this big on the actual movie prop or the master replica. Not sure. But then the other change is this ring. On the original run, it was not beveled, you know, similar to how these rings are beveled on the edge. It's just a solid piece. Sorry for the phone, guys. But on the new one, it's sort of rounded and beveled. So that's a difference. The bottom, I don't know, whatever this piece is, has a hole where the original doesn't have a hole. Cover techs are almost the same. It looks like the machine screw is a little different. Hex head versus socket. And the buttons are different as well, as is the blade plug. The difference on the buttons, you can see, so the first thing right off the bat, there's magnets in each of the buttons now. So these buttons actually just come off. They're held in by a magnet. The issue is they don't give you a magnet for this middle area. So you could, if you wanted to, I'm not wanting to, but you could use maybe double-sided tape and have it affixed here. But I just ordered a magnet. It's like 5 mil outer diameter, 3 mil tall. That size should work. Maybe go down 0.5 millimeter, but measurements confirm 5 by 3. So those are sort of the external differences. Internally, which I won't be able to show you, both outside buttons are actual functional buttons on both. The middle is just static. Internally, this 3D printed part is a little bit different. I forget exactly what it looks like on this one. It's not a removable setup, and it's got a tri-cree up here, and it's got a chassis. So I can't show you the internals on this one. But I did install the second run. And this 3D printed part, while similar, is different. The switch setups are also different. That I could probably show you on this one, right? Because I can take the magnet off, hopefully. So the magnets are pretty good. You know, but this is what I'm talking about. This it's sort of like a rocker mechanism here that's held in by a screw. That's different, and then you have the PCB with the switch on it. I believe the second run had a similar setup with there as well. The internal diameters are likely different also, especially from the original run to this run. I don't remember. I think there were some slight tolerance differences between the first and the second run, because I used a Goth chassis designed for the first run in the second run, and I definitely had to sand the chassis. So I'll show you this one off. This I bought, you know, I bought this secondhand. It came installed. These grips have to be reapplied. But this actually has a nice metal chassis. Let's open this up. It's just old tech. I forget if there's a prism or a nano in here, but it's really well done. I'm not even sure what chassis this is, who makes it. The speaker comes off to access the internals. You have access to the SD card, 1.3 recharge port. I think there's just like an O-ring around the speaker that kind of press fits it in. Got a nice crystal, although it kind of, you know, looks like the crystal itself has a crack along the inside. And I have the blade plug. I printed some diffusing material because that LED is really bright and it's RGB. But I need to glue that diffuser back on top to hold it in place. I forget. There you go. I forget how to even use the controls. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this original. I'm likely going to sell it. I don't know if I'll attempt to upgrade it before selling it, or I'll just let the new owner deal with that. But yeah, keep an eye out. I'll eventually put that up for sale. The other difference is this. Now it could be that I don't have this tightened all the way down, but I noticed that spins. And you know what? Let me take, I'm gonna do a little test. If I take, just to see if it's my chassis that's too tight that's causing the issue. Let's tighten this up all the way. Yeah, so it is. So it tightens up once you tighten it on. So that's fine. So I have some adjustments I need to do to the chassis, but let's show off the chassis. Let's see, am I zoomed in? I'm zoomed out. Okay. So it's a two-part system. It's using the new Pixel switch combination PCB. So there's 6 rings, which allows connection to 2 switches as well as your NeoPixel. So that's why you got 2 rings. So three pads or 3 rings for switches, and then 3 pads and rings for NeoPixel setup. And this, it's just wired in. 6 wires to the blade, quote unquote blade side, right? Or maybe just emitter side. And you know, what's great about these PCBs is the fact that it allows for this quick disconnect from the main hilt to the emitter side, because traditionally with this type of setup you'd have wires running from the hilt up in here, you know, which kind of limited your options. Usually, you know, there'd probably be a battery up here with your crystal reveal down here. So this really opens up options, with the exception that that's as much room as you get. So, you know, if you want a removable battery and, you know, sort of sled option, you're limited in what you can put for crystal reveals, similar to what I have down here. You know, the alternative is if you wanted a crystal reveal, then you're likely going to limit yourself on the type of battery you can use, because you likely won't fit in a full 18650 battery up here with a crystal reveal down below. So yeah, so I have a stock NeoPixel PCB in a 7/8" holder. So up here it reduces down to 7/8. And I'm waiting for my magnet. So once I get my magnet, I'll apply that. And then down here we have a 24 mil bass speaker. So that's one of the modifications I want to make. I want to reduce. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. The lower body here is 27. It's like 26.8. So I printed my chassis at like 27, because you know PLA shrinks, and I wanted it to be a snug, but not too snug, right? I want it to be able to slide in, but it reduces down here. So just past the thread is actually 26. 24, 26? Now I'm trying to remember. But it reduces by about two millimeters if I have the measurements properly. That's why down here you can see the speaker area is different outside diameter than the main chassis, which is fine, I guess. You know, you're not fitting a 28 in here anyway. So, but this part was a little too snug. You know, maybe, I mean, it's fine, but ideally I'm going to reduce this. This way, right now I have cap and tape, just making sure to shield the pads for the speaker. But I think I want to reduce this wall just a little bit more. One, so that it's not so snug, and two, so I can get a proper wrap or protection around the speaker terminal. Okay, so with that said, so 24 mil bass speaker, 18650 removable battery, keystone terminals, and the hillside connector, along with a Profi board, 2.2 or 1.5, either one will fit. It's a press fit, and I also beveled right here so you can get a top angled USB adapter or connector without having to remove the Profi board. If you want to take the SD card out, yeah, you'll have to pop up the Profi board, which is why I typically don't glue this down. So it's a nice press fit, just a piece of tape, you know, kind of hiding the underside of the Profi board and the wires. But yeah, wire management, you know, you're going to have to go real small. There's not a lot of room. So my speaker wires, I think I still want 26 gauge, although maybe you'll want to go 28. Don't use silicone. Don't, you know, nothing with thick insulation. You're going to want PTFE, thin insulation. I would go 28 or 26 on the speaker, 22 on the positive. So what I do is I run a 22 gauge from the positive terminal directly to the positive pad on the hilt side on this connector, and then I run a second wire 26 gauge from the positive terminal to the Profi board BAT Plus. So all it needs is 26. There's no kill switch in here, couldn't fit it. So the way that I install it, you have 4 wires running up, and there's a wire channel running on each side, so there's plenty of room to run wires up. You're going to see them, unfortunately, right here. Not a big deal, though. But your switches, I'd go 30 gauge on switches. And what else? 30 gauge on switch, 30 gauge on data, 22 gauge on BAT Plus or your Pixel ground and positive. And then the same thing here. This is your battery negative. That's just 22 gauge going right to battery negative pad. So yeah, you know, not terrible. You know, I wanted the removable setup. I've said it before. I've been moving in that direction. Because for me, you know, I install them, I buy them, I install them, I put them on the shelf, and they sit there. You know, they'll sit there for a while, and constantly, you know, I feel like I'm charging them every few months, right? So I figured, let me move to removable where I can, and this way I put them on the shelf. The battery doesn't have to sit in them, and if I want to play with them, I'll drop a battery in. You know, so that's sort of my reasoning. And yeah, so I'm gonna put this chassis up on the Etsy store. You know, hopefully, folks, you guys are interested in it. I don't sell speakers and I don't sell Profi boards, but I will include the keystones. You can buy the Pixel switch connector set, and you can also, you know, I also sell stock PCB holders. But I don't sell the stock PCB. And the kit includes the switches on a PCB, so that's done. So, and like I said, it's a two-piece holder, so you get, I'm sorry, it's a two-piece chassis, so you'll get the main chassis along with the sort of emitter side PCB holder, which is just press fit. You know, that's not going to come out, especially when the hilt's combined. So yeah, so I think I'll just have to maybe reduce the height of this slightly, just to avoid, because it feels a little too snug right now. I'm using 6mm pogos. Maybe on this one it would make more sense to go with a shorter pogo pin, so I'm going to look at that as well. This way I could ensure that this gets seated properly. Try that again.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it? Well, I'm a mushroom cloud man, motherfucker.
I don't think the Profi board was sitting properly in the holder.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it? Bad motherfucker. I'm still alive, motherfucker.
The other thing I wanted to point out too, this bottom ring is not attached from in the kit. So what I did was, you know, with the ring off, I just put a small amount of E6000 on the hilt itself, kind of using a Q-tip to almost brush it on a thin layer. Then I put the ring on, wiped off any, you know, excess, and just let that cure. And then I did the same thing up here with this button, or not a button, but that little gribbly. Just put a little E6000, use the Q-tip to kind of spread it, and then push that on and put a rubber band around it until it cured. The grips just have tape, you know, on them, double-sided tape, so I just cleaned the grooves with a little bit of IPA and then applied the grips. Much better. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if these large grips, I don't know about these large grips, but you know, if they were true to the replica or not, or the screen use prop. Maybe Sam Jackson has big hands, I don't know. But much more comfortable with these smaller grips. And it looks better, in my opinion at least. Alright guys, well thanks for watching. Any questions, let me know. I wish I had the Master Replica, or even the Force Effects version, although the Master Replica would be really nice. I think there was a signature edition of the Master Replica, which I do not have. Yeah. Alright guys, well thanks for watching. Any questions, you know, feel free to reach out.